Hey guys, hope you're well. As you can see, I'm inside for the first time ever in my YouTube broadcasting. I actually overslept and completely missed the ZDT hearing, unfortunately. So my sincerest apologies. Didn't know about DOA yesterday, so I got all dressed up, ready to go, then fell asleep after I got dressed up right on my bed and slept through the alarm. So my sincerest apologies. But got in before 2 days ago. I got in from where I was in Fresno, and I drove from Fresno back down to LA and didn't get in the motel till 3 in the morning, and then had DOA 5 hours later. So I guess my body was fighting me, but I did get a full report from Henry. So I'm able to detail what happened and detail, again, some potential corruption afoot and things that will have broader implications, in my opinion, for the future of exposing potential ties to Scientology and the Los Angeles Police Department. So Henry gave me a lot of really good information. He was there. The other interesting thing is, with the hearing, is it's not actually technically a hearing. It's simply a verification of submission. This is looking to making sure that Zero Dark Tony is complying with the order to submit his gun as a result of the restraining order that Henry got against him. Remember, as I was telling you before, they kept asking for continuances, kept providing excuses. And the initial excuse is that it was actually submitted way back in 2001, which seemed very far-fetched. Well, I will say this is what I'll lead with. ZDT had some semblance of a victory today, because at least now, ostensibly, his submission of a gun has been accepted by the court. He got 2 detectives apparently to verify that they saw this 2001 document that declared that ZDT way back in 2001 had submitted the only firearm that he had. They signed off on that, which was sufficient evidence for the judge that he had indeed submitted his gun. At the hearing, I really didn't miss much because ZDT did not show, and neither did his lawyer Tamer, but Tamer showed up via Zoom. ZDT did not show up at all. So again, apologies for missing it, but what was the information gleaned because of Henry is kind of the more interesting part of it. So certainly a success in this regard, but here's where it gets particularly interesting. Henry decided to do some follow-up with the 2 detectives, and I have all of this written down, so forgive me if I look at my notes. We're going to actually read some emails. He gave me permission to read the direct emails, and he doesn't want to speak about it himself because he's directly involved, but has been very helpful and is all too fine with me having relay all this information. So the 2 cops did tell the court clerk that the document was legitimate. The clerk noted to Henry that if there's a belief of misconduct, they should get an email directly. So they're certainly on it. The 2 cops that were created this verification was one named Nora Herbert and another named Cesar Flores. And Herbert wrote that she saw the record online and that the gun was destroyed in 2001, but that she doesn't currently have a record. She knows about it and can verify it, but for some reason, she doesn't have the record herself, which seems very bizarre to verify that, to verify what she had seen specifically. She says she saw it, but she says she can't relay that piece of information. And then they got evasive because Henry wanted to follow up. And well, first I'll start with the email with Nora, which is less controversial, but still interesting. So I'm just quoting from Henry here. Henry writes to Detective Nora Herbert, who again was one of the 2 detectives to potentially verify that ZDT submitted his gun. He said, hi, Detective. Hello, Detective Herbert. My name is Henry Marini, and I am the petitioner for a restraining order against Mr. D'Amato. I'm kindly writing to ask if you swear under oath that the following document, which appears to be signed by you, is true and correct, and if you would be willing to testify as such under oath in court. This is Henry writing. The document is regarding a declaration on a firearm surrender, whereby Mr. D'Amato claims to have surrendered the firearm to you. I have copied Detective Perez from Wilshire Station as well. He is a detective assigned in investigating this matter as well as the criminal matter regarding Mr. D'Amato. Mr. D'Amato is currently undergoing a criminal case for 26 charges relating to violating a restraining order and child abuse, to name a few. Herbert responds, "Thank you. You signed off in that firearm." Oh, so then sorry guys. I do not, Ms. Herbert says, "I do not have the info you are looking for. I work for a different division from which the report you are seeking." So she's saying, well, it's not my division. I can verify it, but for some reason, because it's a different division, the report is in a different division. Sorry, pal, you're barking up the wrong tree. That's the claim that Detective Herbert is making to Henry. I had nothing to do with the surrendering of this firearm. Meaning, so she could verify it, but she's saying she had nothing to do with it, which is pretty bizarre. You need to call the Van Nuys detective. And then Henry says, "Thanks. You signed off that the firearm." So the detective didn't seem to really know much about this at all. Henry says, "Thanks. You signed off." In his reply, Henry writes, "Thanks. You signed off that the firearm was destroyed in 2001. That means you witnessed a copy of the record showing as such. Do you have a copy of this material showing this record indicating the surrender? This record chiefly would show the name of the officer who allegedly received the weapon, as well as the date and location of the surrender, and who the person surrendering was." And then she simply replies, "The firearm was not surrendered to me." So again, she's trying to wash her hands of it. Now, the little more aggressive one, which is particularly interesting, the particularly aggressive one was his conversation with Mr. Flores, Cesar Flores, the other detective. And Henry writes, "My name is Henry, petitioning in a restraining order. I'm kindly writing to ask you to swear under oath, same situation, that the following document, which appear to be signed by you, is true and correct, and if you be willing to testify as such under oath in court. I have copied Detective Perez from Wilshire Station. He is a detective assigned investigating the matter as well as a criminal matter regarding Mr. D'Amato." "Good morning," Mr. Flores writes. "Respectfully, I don't agree to swear under oath to anything via email, especially when not familiar with the case." Says he's not familiar. That's kind of weird. Mr. Flores continues, "I briefly met Mr. D'Amato when he came in with this form. I ran the specific firearm, which shows as having been destroyed. I wrote destroyed on the form itself. No firearm was turned into me." Nobody's saying that was the case. "Do you have an attorney representing you on this case? If so, please have them contact me to further explain the situation if needed. Or Detective Perez can contact me, as he is the investigating officer." And Henry writes, "I petitioned and won the restraining order case. What date does the system of record by LAPD show the firearm as having been surrendered to? And who were the officers that signed off on this action? Certified copies of said material by the LAPD firearm surrender system of record are what would be used to verify this claim. It is within my power to call for a new hearing," which you'll probably do, and I'll be there, won't oversleep this time, "with my restraining order case to verify by testimony and supplemental material exhibits that this firearm surrender and destruction claims are true. Your cooperation would be greatly appreciated." So yeah, ZDT had his victory in this case, but there's a lot of weird things saying, one officer saying the firearm was destroyed. Maybe the officer could claim that he looked at the serial number and the serial number says it's destroyed or something, but nobody could produce any specific document. So there were two officers that verified that ZDT had submitted something, but there's no viewable document back in 2001 that can be accessed at this moment. Henry is trying to do that. He's trying to view this actual document and not simply accept that 2 police officers gave their signature and he was not going to roll over and simply walk away. I think a lot of people would, and now these officers are sweating. And do remark that this might have broader implications, even beyond the DOA stuff, even beyond anything else. If we could find a direct connection of cops really being, and we've seen a lot of proof of it before, but let's get this all out in deposition under oath in a court of law. If we can see that there's a direct connection between officers and ZDT, and perhaps in a broader aspect, cops and Scientology, I don't know why else they'd be so helpful with him, unless it were completely true, and that's entirely possible. I doubt it, but it's entirely possible he could have submitted it way back in 2001. But again, there's no verification or tangible proof aside from these 2 officers. And these 2 officers are sort of trying to absolve themselves responsibility. They say, contact this person. They say, we never saw anything. We only verified. We never saw the original document. So not even the officers are saying they saw any proof. Only the one officer is saying that he said it's been destroyed. And he approved that it was be destroyed. So watch Henry subpoena these guys. I might be the guy subpoenaing them, actually, which will be interesting. So I'll do some extra legwork on that. But apologies to miss everything. But I think you were able to get a good rub and watch this one little gun hearing spiral and develop into something far more consequential. Henry's going to get these guys subpoenas. He's not going to stop. They were hoping that a little signature they would roll over. But I think there is some corruption afoot, and they're trying to cover for this guy, ZDT, and keep him out of jail. And who are the powerful forces that could do that? Could very well be Scientology. So might be a small gun hearing on its face, but this is a case that will get far, far more interesting. And I think it's pretty clear to see that there's some serious corruption involved. So again, my sincerest apologies, and I guess I will see you later. Big announcement, I am heading to Denmark for a protest. I'm not going to say the exact date, but there's a scheduled protest, so I'll be gone from the 12th to the 17th. Also, some have been asking about my lives. At this point, unless we do live with protest, I'm not going to do it because people either expect me to have a deep hatred for Aaron or DOA and want me to feel like they should both be in jail and burning in hell, or they believe that they want me to view Aaron or DOA as Jesus Christ. I think both of them have done excellent work, and I think both of them have had reprehensible behavior. Apparently, to the majority of the segment of the YouTube audience, that's not acceptable. It's not acceptable to analyze people individually and really try to say, well, let's analyze each action specifically. Maybe let's appreciate the overall work overall, but also let's point out to the damage they're causing. People hate that, right? You have to be on a team. Again, there are 3 teams. There's Aaron, DOA, and I hate them all. I'm not in either of those 3 teams. And I lose subscribers when I go live. And people really hate that I even open forum, that I actually let people ask questions and answer them directly. And people hate that. But I'm an advocate for freedom of speech. I think getting all possible point of views there is important, but at this point, people have enjoyed my opinion and feel like it's been measured, but at this point, I'm going to keep my big mouth shut. It doesn't do me any good, and it just gets people screaming and raging, and so no more lives, but you'll see me on pre-record. Take care. Bye-bye.